So I am a Punjabi therapist in the British Columbia area, which means I've spent a whole lot of time, probably even before I started officially practicing, analyzing cultural norms. What are the types of things that we see come up that impact generally South Asian women's mental health? Not just women, men as well. And there's one phenomenon that it's a little bit comical when you think about it, but when you're experiencing it, not so much. Now, how many of you have ever had a bibi or an auntie point out something about your appearance? Literally, you can just be minding your own business. Maybe you're at a party. They'll be like, तेरा नाक का तो इतना बड़ा है तेरा मत्था का तो इतना बड़ा है तू टेढ़ा टेढ़ा का तो तोड़ता है. There's no filter, there's no tact. It's just a blunt, no filter, no concern for how this is going to emotionally impact you, criticism, judgment, or analysis and feedback, unwarranted feedback. Why I think this happens, because I've got a whole lot of theories as to what's been going on in the South Asian population, is I have a feeling that as a Western society, we derive a lot of our confidence, self-worth, and identity from our looks. So for us, it's up there. So when somebody knocks something about it, it really takes us down a few notches because it's so infused with how we view ourselves, how we move through the world, how much value we think we bring to the table. Whereas, let's take it back to, say, India. Yes, there's that superficiality and they value fair skin and height and all that good stuff, but I don't think they derive their self-worth from their looks. I think that's more the materialistic things, like how much property they owned, who they're connected to, how affluent they are, how many sons they have. So I think it just lands differently for both generations and cultural backgrounds. We're more westernized here. I think the other thing is it comes down to power dynamics. So a lot of times the generation of women where this type of criticism is coming from have been oppressed. They are oppressed by the men in their life. And I think it's natural human nature to just kind of try to pass the torch when it comes to feeling controlled or not having a voice, right? So let's say if they're being overpowered by the men in their life, then they're going to look towards the people who are subordinate to them, which is usually children. So we are their offspring because we're a collectivist culture, we're all just considered their offspring, right? They feel okay coming up to us and saying these really mean things that we can't even really change about ourselves. And sometimes they're talking about body image, and that might be an insecurity of ours, and it's just not nice. So anyways, back to why they might be doing this. What's the psychology behind it? Power hierarchy means they're controlled by somebody above them. They try to attain a feeling of control and tend to their feelings of not having any autonomy by projecting and trying to gain control over those who they feel comfortable doing that with, which is people beneath them, kids. So that's another aspect. The other thing is, I feel as though emotional intelligence is a luxury, right? It's not something that is there for ethnic minority groups who have grown up in regions where there's been attempted genocide, where there's been a more of a survival based mentality. So for us, we have the EQ, we have the emotional intelligence because we have the luxury of having had developed that. We weren't worried for the most part about food, shelter, water. For them, they were. So where their setting and where their resources in their brain go towards is more the left hemisphere of the brain, where it's all about logic, reason, ration, just like what's factual, what is about just surviving, right? Because of the things that have gone on in the cultural history. For us, we have developed more of our right hemisphere, most likely. It's our emotional intelligence, right? We are attuned to our feelings a lot more, and therefore, let's just say we're a little more sensitive than the generations above us, generally speaking, in our culture. What are your thoughts? Have you ever been victimized by a bibi or an auntie who just randomly said something so out of pocket to you that it stays with you? Let me know.